you would be surprised at the huge returns you get, depending on what kind of place you're assaulting. If you're able to get them in for them to do their thing, they can just rip stuff up, and it's really the survivability that does it. I mean, they get very good guns. If you're Germans, they get like the best guns. They get like STG-44s, and pretty much no matter what side you're on, they get rather good guns. Russians get a flamethrower, which is very nice, but it's really the armor that does the huge amount of work, because it just gives them so much survivability against enemy infantry, and they can win almost any fight they get into. It almost doesn't matter, just because they've got the armor, and it just makes them really good for punching through positions and for securing a foothold in a position. And it's very nice if you use them in conjunction with lighter infantry, which hang back and provide fire support, and then move in once the assault infantry have cleared a breach. Is how I find them useful to use. And so since it looks like the game was winding down is why I bought them? No, I think that's why I bought the second squad. I don't know. But yeah, things looking pretty good this game, because our opponents spend most of their time hanging back with their artillery pieces and their giant heavy tanks and hoping that something would magically happen, that all our men would die of some sort of fever or disease while they were hanging back, and then that once the fever or disease was past, they could walk in with their one heavy tank, their 4 artillery pieces, and somehow seize all of our territory. And I don't know how someone's thought process thinks that's going to happen. You can't just sit back and shell your opponent to death, okay? You know, shelling, very nice. We shelled the Germans on D-Day before we landed, but you know what we did later? We landed the fuck on that beach with like a bunch of fucking people, alright? D-Day wouldn't have been D-Day if we just been like, oh, let's shell the Germans a bunch and hope that they like give up or something, alright? It's not how it works. You gotta follow up the shelling with an assault, and there's not going to be an assault if you buy too much shelling. If you buy 1,000 artillery pieces, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to make anything happen, and you might just give an entire infantry squad in one thing, which you just saw my entire submachine infantry squad go down to 1 shell. But I don't even give a fuck, you know what? Because I just lost an infantry squad on their side, I have another infantry squad on their side, and you know what they have? A bunch of artillery that they can hope is going to do something and somehow change the face of the battle. It's not, okay? Some artillery, fine. I'll be the first to admit that the mortar is basically God's gift to mankind, assuming God wants mankind to be blown into small pieces, which I think it's fair to assume he does, given the amount of explosives in the world and how much they are used, and I don't think God would let that go on if he didn't want people to be blown up. So God's kind of a sick motherfucker is what I'm saying. But what was my point? Don't buy artillery. And look at this crazy guy driving right up to me, and that's very dangerous if this was like early in the game, but it's not. And in any case, my guy recruits the AT gun, and kaboom, that was extremely awesome. And a guy actually lives through it, I think, lives to tell the tale. So that's the end of this game. We have way more points than they do because of everything I've just been talking about. So if you enjoyed this video, I would sacrifice a goat to the she-mother at the next full moon, and bay loudly while covered in blood. These are Marines on the left, by the way. Not Royal Marines. Huh, that's amazing. I didn't call them Royal Marines. I always call them Royal Marines. I don't know why I call them Royal Marines. And they're all dead, thanks to an artillery shell. But like I said, it doesn't matter. You can artillery me all day, fool. I don't care. I don't care. And, yeah.